Hi. Have you ever wondered what are the different stages that we go through in terms of our spiritual awakening process? We know that globally humanity is waking up and that everyone is being pushed to awaken more of a spiritual sense of self. But what does that actually mean? And if you could classify those different stages, what are they? My name is Chloe Cousins, and I would like to talk to you about the 4 different stages of spiritual awakening. There is, in general, a huge awakening process that's going on globally. And this has been prophesied by the ancients, the Hopi Indians, the Mayans. They all talked about a huge awakening process that would happen on this planet around this time. And it's one of the reasons why we're seeing so much chaos, because we're going through an internal and external, what we would call a death rebirth process. Now, we all have our own unique spiritual path. We all have a way and a path that we follow via our higher self that supports this awakening process. However, there is still a general different stage process that is similar for each one of us in our ascension process. So I would like to talk about each of those phases and give you tools that you can use to support you wherever you are in your journey. Now, remembering that for each stage could take many lifetimes, and it's not, it's not the end result, but it's the journey that's the most important. And the more aware and conscious you can be of where you're at in which stage you're at, then the more ability you have to connect in and to use specific processes and tools that can really support you in your journey. Because at the end of the day, it's the awareness and the consciousness that's going to really create a journey of more ease and grace for you. The first stage of the spiritual awakening process is what I would call the awakening. So if you think about it, it's a bit like what we're all doing is we're going from a caterpillar into an amazing butterfly. So that's a complete shift of DNA, such a profound shift on every single level of our being. So it's a huge process which many of us will take lifetimes to go through. However, it is absolutely possible to fast track that process and to work with that with different tools and energetic procedures that really help you to balance within that, stay stable and harmonized, and enable you to keep on continually going through those cycles of death and rebirth within yourself. In fact, it's really the more of those cycles of death and rebirth that you can do within yourself, is the more accelerated your journey will become. But that's up to you, that's personal choice, and it's also your higher self that in a way is guiding you in that process. I feel that for most people that are already spiritually awakened, in that they are aware that they have a spiritual side to them will be really trying to accelerate that process within themselves. So this first stage of spiritual awakening is where someone is going from what I would call a 3D state of consciousness, when they're completely shut off from everything. So they're shut off from really what's going on within themselves, with their emotions. They're shut off from the universe in general. They're shut off from their higher self consciously. And it's a state of being that really creates a lot of fear. A lot of it's subconscious. They don't really know it's there because they're kind of so suppressed and so cut off that they don't even know they're feeling what their feeling states are, because they have self-defense mechanisms in place that support them not to feel, because it's really very painful for them to feel that. And so globally, the majority of people are in this process of going from that 3D state of being into what I would call a 5D state of being. So they're trying to make that transition. Now, what supports them to do that is, well, energetically we are being supported to do that. So there's loads of shift astrologically that are going on. Our grid, there's an energetic grid, is shifting, and we are all being impacted by that, whether we're conscious of that or not. And so what is happening to people is that this awakening process is often occurs through triggers. Now, those triggers could be health triggers. That trigger could be a relationship trigger. That trigger could be something that happens at work. Maybe they're made redundant, or there's some sort of crisis that goes on at work. That trigger could be the death of someone close to them. Or that trigger could be just within themselves. They just know they need to change. And so a lot of people are having, a combination of things happening around them, or just one very strong trigger that's going on in their life. And what this trigger does is it supports them through those outside circumstances, or through an internal health issue, or mental state like a depression or anxiety coming up for them. It's supporting them to dig deeper, to question, and they start to realize that their old ways of being and their old self-defense mechanisms are not working for them anymore, and they realize that they need to find a new way of being and a new way of doing. And so they start to reach out and search and look for different ways of doing that. So this is that first stage. Now, the tools that I would suggest that people use when they're in that first stage of spiritual awakening, I think the primary thing I would suggest is meditation. Doesn't matter what meditation you do, but really the meditation is to help calm the central nervous system, but more importantly, support that person to start taking some of their awareness and going within. So I call that introspection. The more they can do that, go within and connect with what they're really truly feeling and thinking, not what they think they're feeling and thinking, but what they're really going on for them, then they start to access a point of power. And that point of power is awareness, basically, inner awareness. Because when you start to connect within, you then start to have choices. But it's very difficult to really make deep changes within yourself if you're not really aware of what you're truly thinking and feeling. So that would be my first suggestion, and my first tool that I would suggest to people is meditation for self-awareness. So the second stage is a stage that I call of holding your light. So if you're at this stage of awakening, you've probably been on the spiritual path for quite some time. You may well have read many books, attended all sorts of different workshops. You may have learned how to do a little bit of energy healing, maybe a bit of crystal healing, or say Reiki. And you may have, I don't know, you may use angel cards, or, working a little bit with crystals, or your dream state. So, you have some awareness around energy, around how the way you think and the way you feel impacts and co-creates your life. And so really at this stage of awareness, it's about being able to channel more light through you and really being able to hold that light within yourself. Now, this is a huge teaching, because the more light that you hold within yourself, the more it then impacts others. And it's this whole process of how your light impacts others that you have to navigate at this stage of awareness. Because as you bring in more and more light, people, especially those around you, get impacted by that, and they can start to, flip out a little bit, or get project a little bit towards you. And you have to learn how to stay balanced and not project back out. And this is a huge learning, and you're really trying to go into what I would call the deeper stages of your chambers of your heart, and you're trying to embody more of a state of unconditional love, which really is not that easy at times, especially when you feel you're being, you're under some sort of psychic attack, or you're having negative projections against you. And so at this level of awareness, you really want to start to put in place some sort of what I would call energy management system, where you're working on yourself energetically daily. Because at the end of the day, it's all about energy, it's all about light. So you really want to know how to navigate that on a more conscious level. So what I have created for you, if you feel you're in this stage of awareness, is a meditation on the violet flame. And what the violet flame will do is support you to instantly transform and clear any negativity that's coming up for you. Because the only way you're going to pull more light in and hold more light is to continually be able to purify and clear your own density. So please feel free to download that meditation, and that's going to really support you to keep on clearing your energy field on a regular basis. So the third stage of spiritual awakening is what I call radiating your light. So you'll know if you're at this stage of awakening because your psyche is very open. You work on yourself energetically on a regular basis. You know what is going on with the grid. You know when you're having a Kundalini shift. You know when you're in a light body activation and what to do about that. You understand how to crystallize your light body and the impact that your light has on others, and you are able to hold yourself energetically in those situations when you're under psychic attack, when you have negative protection against you, and your light and your that radiation of the light gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you really are working in service with others through your energy and through your light. So, you know, you really are at this level what I would call a light worker. Now, in that second stage, you may have an awareness of light and call yourself a light worker, but there has to be such a purity within your energy, so when your light really starts to impact others. You'll also find at this third level of awakening that you're awakening those higher levels of your light body. So your Merkaba is starting to activate more, and you're starting to get those interdimensional experiences. So you're able to go into different dimensions and really feel yourself to be there and connect in energetically and pull through different frequencies of light from those realms, whether that's the angelic planes, whether that's the elemental beings, whether that's the more galactic realms, whether that's more going into the crystalline frequencies. And you know, your higher chakras are also open as well and are balancing out with those lowest chakras. So that will be your causal chakra, your earth star chakra, your soul star, and your stellar gateway. It's not a mental understanding that they're there, but they are actually opening, and you are aware of that process. If you understand and know yourself to be at that stage where you're really getting your work out more there and really getting more out there and to be of service as a light worker, then I have created a special meditation for you that really works on the crystallization of your light body to support light body symptoms, because you will be getting more light body symptoms as more light starts to impact your physical body and consciousness. Okay, the last stage of spiritual awakening. So at this stage of spiritual awakening, you have fully anchored and integrated your light body. You are in the process or have already anchored and embodying your Christ body. You are fully awakened. The Kundalini has risen all the way through the third eye, so you're fully awakened. All your higher chakras and your 7 main chakras are fully balanced and aligned. Your psyche is fully open. You are aware of everything that's going on, and you really are out there as a global teacher. So as you can imagine, there are not many people that are at this stage of spiritual awakening. Not only that, but you've also gone into what I would call the third chamber of your heart, where you're really working at the level of compassion. So this really is like the last step before you get to that point of enlightenment. And when you're at this level, you've pretty much completed the karma, and you then have that choice as whether you decide to come back onto this planet to really, you know, you've basically finalized all of those teachings that one gets on this planet, but you decide to come back and just be purely of service to humanity and to the planet. So that's the final stage of spiritual awakening.